Well, since I started streaming, guys, can you hear me? How do you see the stream? Is the quality good? Okay, everything is fine. I will wait for like I think 5 minutes more until maybe somebody comes, and we will start. So I tried. Today I want to try a whole new format, basically the tech talks. I used to stream here before for like I think 10 months ago, but yeah, in the end I stopped the streams because they were mostly out of my competency because I started from backend, and yeah, that didn't go well. But today I'm going to talk about the dependency management, the thing I'm like quite have a good understanding of it. And we will talk about dependency injection, dependency initialization, and delivery. Basically the three pillars of of good dependency management. All right, hello everybody. I see 16 members. That's good. Today I'm without the webcam because I thought it would be better. So yeah, I recently found a job, basically in a Poland company. I'm currently in Poland, called OLX. Yeah, this was my first week, so I started already. So I'm like doing the stream after my job. So I think that's it. We got everybody we wanted, I believe. So let's start. So let's start from a little introduction to the topic. Yeah, and actually, I'm streaming from like one PC. I don't have many displays, and this is and I won't be able to like answer immediately all the questions you have. So in case you have any question, you still please still write it. But I will switch between my windows, and when I have a chance, I will answer your question. And in the end of the stream, we will have a quiz session where you can ask anything you want, and we have like 15 minutes for it. And generally, this stream I expect to be 30 to 45 minutes, the whole, something like that. Yeah, actually, I can add the web camera here. Don't think it's a big issue. Hello, everybody. Yeah, like this. I don't know if you see it or not, but yeah, let's start. I'm not a big streamer here. So today we're talking about dependency management, a really important topic. There are like a few essential pillars of architecture of software architecture. Basically, the state management, the navigation, the actually dependency management, and yeah, some other things like general architecture rules like solid, grasp, etc., etc. So today we're going to talk about dependency management. And yeah, let's start. So this is our agenda for today. We will start from the dependency injection. Then we will talk about the actual creation of dependencies, the initialization of them, and the delivery. How can we access already initialized dependencies? And we will talk about the service locator as well, because it's like very, very popular shit that is like a lot of people use in Flutter and generally in the world and think that it's normal, but actually not. And yeah, as I said, the QA session. Yeah, I can use my phone as a screen, by the way. Thank you, Boris. Yeah, if I found my stream here. Yeah, nice. So, yeah, that's it. So let's start from dependency injection. So what's the dependency injection? Basically, it's a technique in which you, instead of creating the dependency inside the class, you simply pass it through the constructor. There are other ways of dependency injection, for example, setter-based injection, but the one that is, I think, the best and the most popular in Dart and in many other languages is the constructor injection. This is basically like the constructor. So why do we need it? Basically, if you're familiar with, first of all, if you're familiar with solid principles, you might know that single responsibility principle. Basically, when you have a class that manages a lot of stuff, it sometimes, or in the end, it may become a God object. You know, when I have a lot of responsibilities, it's really hard to manage. And in fact, some of the modules, software modules, for example, like this service, may require some sophisticated initialization, for example, asynchronous one, or like preload some data or something else. And if that happens, our class should also care about the initialization of the dependency it uses. So for this reason, we actually just delegate the creation to somewhere outside of this class, of this software module. And basically, we just specify it as a dependency. It is called a dependency because our software module depends on this class. Something like that. So here you can see the class with without the dependency injection that simply creates the service inside of it. And the good example, a class that actually uses dependency injection. Something like that. Dependency injection also has other advantages over like without it. But for example, it of course loses decoupling because we, instead of depending on some specific implementations, we actually can depend on interfaces. And this also makes it easier to test our software models, to like mock it, etc., etc. So let's move further. And here I prepared an example of dependency injection in practice. Yeah, we will have. Yeah, this stream will be saved on my channel, so you can see it as well after it ends. Basically, usually our applications are created from have some architecture. If they are not, yeah, you're building some shit. And if you're not, if you do not want to build a grab, a trash that like destroys or like is not possible to support in the end or after some month, you should care about about the dependency injection, about the architecture. And usually we have some defined layers. For example, in most applications I have like a few layers. The topmost one is the widget, second one is the block, then the data layer, and yeah, that's it. Basically 3 layers. So as you can see on the slide, dependencies are injected into one another. So the widget may create the block, and block may depend on the repository, and the repository may depend on the user data source, and user data source, or I'm sorry, the data source may depend on some other like data provider, for example, the database or HTTP client. And it may have like a lot of layers, but you should not exceed them. Something like that. This is what it was for the dependency injection. Basically, the dependency injection is like, as I said, is putting one dependency into another. Something like that. Another topic I want to talk about is the actual initialization. So what is initialization or creation? Sometimes, or not sometimes, actually you need to create the dependencies like every time. What is the initialization? It's the process when the program creates the actual instances that will be used by it afterwards, or like, yeah, after that will be used by it afterwards. Sometimes the dependencies, like, it is enough to create just to create them, like, just invoke the constructor and that's it. For example, it is usual for repositories or like shared preferences, that stuff. But sometimes the dependencies also require the like sophisticated initialization, for example, asynchronous one. It's a usual thing for authentication, for example, to preload the user data when the app starts. So this is the dependency initialization, basically the creation of instance and the initialization, so it is ready to be used in the program, something like that. And regarding this, I have 3 concepts, basically the PRDI, the composition root, and dependencies container. By the way, all these principles are used in my template called Sisal Starter. So if you do not use it, you can actually check, because it's like should be a very good source of truth, I think, or of knowledge for you as well. So what's the PRDI? The PRDI is basically the manual creation of dependencies. When you compose them one by one, something like that. It is on contrary to creating dependencies like something in automatic way. For example, generating them using like some code generators, frameworks, etc., etc. Believe me, it's a total garbage in Flutter, in Dart. You should not use it under any circumstance. There's like total shit. And the composition root. The composition root is a concept, like not a concept, but it's a place where actual the dependency graph is created. what dependency graph means. As you can see on this picture, we can we can see our dependencies is a sort of a tree, because each dependency may or may not depend on another, and it roots to the root of the tree, and it forms like a graph, something like that. And basically the role of composition root is to create such a graph that can be used later in the application. And the dependencies container is the dependencies container is a class that stores the created dependencies like to reuse them. Basically, it's just a place where the dependency graph is actually stored, so it can be used later by the application. And here you can see the example of composition root. So I have, in my Sizal starter, I have created a like distinct class for it with one method called compose. It also can accept some dependencies, but yeah, as you can see, the main role of it is just to create dependencies container and return the created dependencies. And the dependencies container is just like a class that stores them, something like that. It's so looks pretty easy. And actually, in the composition root, the dependencies can be initialized. As you can see, this returns the future, not like a synchronous call. So if you need to preload something, for example, your user data, and the tokens, authentication data, some profile data, never mind, you must do it here. And for actual creation of objects, I introduced not I introduced, but yeah, some smart guys before me introduced the factory pattern. Basically, it's a class that has a single method create that delegates that instead of creating them in place, we can create a class that creates such a dependency. This is useful, for example, to first of all to separate the dependency creation and initialization from actual composition root, because you may need the dependencies not only in your Flutter app, but also but when you, for example, have some work with threads or work manager where you don't have an access to the Flutter main Flutter thread. And for this reason, we have a factory and an async factory. Factory is just a class that creates another one synchronously. And on the contrary, the async factory is a bit more interesting. It creates them asynchronously. And this is what I talked about a few minutes before. Basically, in this factory, we can actually preload some stuff. For example, take a look at this app settings block factory. It creates a block for app settings. And as you can see, it preloads the settings so that the application starts already with the theme, locale, and I believe other app settings set up, so that the user wants, when the user actually enters the application, they will see their familiar theme and locale. And instead of, for example, switching to their selected locale after some times when the data is loaded. I believe you got me here. Something like that. Let's move further. So for actual dependencies delivery, we can use the inherited widget. For this reason, I have implemented something called dependency scope. Basically, this is a class, and this is inherited widget that simply stores the dependencies container value. So after the dependencies container is initialized, we can actually pass it via this inherited widget to the down of the tree, so that the other Flutter widgets have access to it. As you can see here, there is a usage of dependency scope. So for example, we can get the logger from it using, I believe familiar syntax for Flutterists, like dependency scope of context and .logger. And same stuff for, for other dependencies. What is good about it is that, the scope for your dependencies is limited. What it means is that you can access your dependencies only from, from the Flutter tree, from the build context, basically from the places where you have access to build context. This is especially good because you won't be able to access it from, from the down layer without proper dependency injection. And yeah, this is where this all works together, because, dependency injection forces you to define the constructors and get the dependencies using the constructors. And you simply can't do the shitty tricks with your code base because because you will, simply like forget about the principles we talked earlier. Of course, you can still do the shit, but it will be much harder. And in fact, if you want to do the good architecture, this like stack will always suggest you to do so, instead of things like get-it, where you can get one dependency like navigation service, access it from another service, access it from, I don't know, block, and simply navigate from the logic, all that stuff. Show dialects, yeah. Anyway, this is why it's so good. And here we come to the actual service locator, and why it is actually bad. By the way, guys, after this presentation, I want to show you the setup in Sisal Starter, how it works. And maybe I will also show you an example of asynchronous initialization, probably, I don't know. Let's see. So what about the service locator? You can imagine just like a box where you put like different things. For example, I can put my mouse and keyboard in this box, and then other guy just comes there and tries to get the thing they want, And this is how the service locator work. Basically, it's a black box where you can register some initialized instances. And later you can get them. For example, as you can see in these examples, you can register the user repository, and then you can register the user block. And then after it, you can simply get them using the get-it. And it looks really simple, looks really nice, but the main problem with it is that it's like a black box. You don't know what's there. It's a runtime unsafe, and problems will arise. So here you can see all the problems and basically the comparison to dependency injection. So as you can see, the service locator actually don't have like when you use dependencies with service locator, you don't have the like constructor injection, and this is why the actual dependencies that are used by user block are actually unknown. So you can't tell that what dependencies this block uses before, like without getting into it and seeing its code base. And this is the problem, because when writing tests or simply when introducing new parts of software, you do not know what this dependency uses, and it's like a usual thing that it like throws runtime exceptions when you're already in production. So as you can see, this is the main aspect, the dependency visibility. So in service locator, they're hidden. What about coupling? I didn't touch the coupling actually because I forgot, but coupling is basically when, for example, when one component uses another component, basically it is coupled to the component. And what is bad about service locator is that every software component is tightly coupled to the service locator instance. Of course, you can use, for example, the dependency injection with service locator, but I don't. There is no fucking sense in it, you know. So the iconic usage, or like the usage of this get it is like this without the constructors. But of course, if you have it on your project, I strongly advise you to at least implement the constructors, you know, because it will make your code base much healthier, and in the future you will be able to move out of this get it shit. So for these reasons, the testing is actually harder for the service locator, and it's like, as I said, really unsafe. Something like that. So what do we have for questions here? Yeah, this stream will be saved, by the way. So anything that injects in constructor, even in functions constructor, is DI. Yeah, you got it right. So basically, anything that is injected somewhere, yeah, is a dependency injection. For example, if the print data takes some parameter, for example, some dependency, it still will be the dependency injection. And same way with the its constructor. Wow, your accent is heavy. Let's just stick to Russian instead. Okay. Yeah, my accent is amazing, I know. So is it good that dep container holds maybe more than 20-25 deps inside? It depends. It depends on your case. But yeah, let me actually switch to the VS Code. So here is the dependency container that is like the standard for the Sizal starter. And it currently features like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dependencies. It really depends on your project and what you want to accomplish. But usually you should not put like every dependency here. The problem with that, there may be problems if you want to handle their life cycle. If they are expected to be the singletons, it's totally good to have them actually there. For example, you can put there the user block, the HTTP client with the interceptors used, defined, etc., etc. It really depends on the case. But of course, you should not have all your blocks, for example, implemented there, because yeah, it's simply not like engineering approach. I usually previously, like a long time ago, I used to initialize the repositories here, like every repository, because they were stateless. And this may be a good approach, because as far as the repository is stateless, and for example, you won't need to be sync the data, for example, when user leaves, etc., etc. Something like that. It is better that it contains so many dependencies in the container than in the map. You have complete control. Yeah. The main benefit of dependencies container, of general like pure DI and dependencies container approach, is that you, instead of having like unknown instances, not typed instances registered in the get it, you have you actually understand what you're working with. And the problem, one second, basically the get it is just like something like that. Or something like this. You know, of course, it's like under the hood, it uses the same structure, I believe. Maybe a bit more complex, but this is what it is. And of course, when you you also will need to, you know, can't maintain multiple implementations at once, and basically, yeah, general behavior of this thing is really unexpected and unsafe. So in these circumstances, we don't need to use block provider, and we can get and use exactly the same blocks throughout the app. I mean, using inherited widget is enough. Of course, of course, it's enough if, as far as the block is initialized in dependencies container. If it resides here, if it resides here, you do not need to provide it again with another inherited object, and but you need to actually like take care or be careful with the things that are initialized here, because having like all the blocks of the application, again, having all the blocks of application initialized there is not a good approach, because for example, the blocks can be initialized directly in widgets to control their life cycle. For example, in this exam in Sisal starter, we, for example, imagine this screen requires the block. We can actually simply create this block, like feed block here, and we can get the feed repository, for example, from here, from the dependency scope, or actually create it, for example, like this, feed repository, and feed data source, and then we can like database, dependency scope database, or like dependency scope, simply dependency scope, and feed repository, something like that. Cannot we use dependence service locator as a global container similar to your dependencies container? We are not obliged to use constructor DI when using getIt. Yeah, you are totally correct, because we really together with getIt, we can actually use the dependency injection. I believe I said that previously. Basically we can use still use the getIt and still have the classes like depend on each other, something like that, and to like create instances of them. But here is the main like question arises: why do you need the getIt? Because what does it actually give to you, or give you? The problem is that most applications have like really a lot of dependencies, and having this black box is not a really good, is not really a good one, because, for example, compare this. You understand, you know what you're working with, and simply this map where you don't even know what is like located in. And yeah, for what about other things? For example, testing. The testing is also much more difficult because you need to actually create all the dependencies, but basically initialize them and somehow replace from in this like map. So I honestly don't really love this stuff because yeah, because having the strongly typed dependencies is much better than having a black box where you don't know even what like actually resides. How do you manage reactive dependencies, like let's say a switch to demo version of the app? How do you manage reactive dependencies, like let's say a switch to demo version of the app? I'm not sure I got you correct actually. I'm not sure what the reactive dependency is. Is it like I don't know. Another thing I wanted to highlight today is that dependencies in this container may also be like null. And for example, like this. So they can be initialized later in the application. This is used when you have some like flows when you need to initialize the dependency like lazily and have a control over it. For example, you can create, for example, the sign in repository or sign in block here, or any other dependency, depends on the use case. But if you actually need that, you can actually create that. Because it is not, always possible to create the dependency like locally. You may need to go to other screen, and when you go to other screen, you won't have the access to this variable for created dependency here, something like that, like this. You won't have one. So I think we have also more questions here. I think that in order to use that block with block builder, we have to pass that block which is inside depth to block, because we didn't register that inside block provider. Also, if yeah, you're correct. You're correct. For example, the app settings block. I have created the setting state in Sizzle Starter that is used to deliver the settings block state updates. And here you can see that the block builder simply uses the app settings block from the dependency scope. The reason why the app settings block actually resides in the dependencies container is that it requires asynchronous initialization. Let me check where it is. Something like, yeah, here it is. You can see the actual asynchronous initialization, because we need to preload the app settings. And for this very reason, we are creating it like in the dependencies container. Thanks for the arguments and your answer. Great stream, by the way. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So yeah, probably I also have actually I have a bit more broad discussion about dependency injection, service locators. I have like article. I think you can read it on my site as well. Yeah, that's it. Also, the question that may arise is how can we test their widgets, and which widgets actually should depend on the dependency scope. This one. As you can see, yeah, this scope just delivers the dependencies container. And yeah, quite good question would be how to, first of all, what widgets should depend on this, and how actually test these widgets. The answer is actually simple, and usually I recommend to use the dependency scopes only in top level widgets. For example, when you have, for example, in the screens, and not in the components. For example, here we can see the home screen. This is like a top level widget. It yeah, it describes the screen. And here we can actually access them. For the components, I think it is much better to actually abstract from any other dependencies, just to accept actual data or callbacks. So that, for example, instead of having the component to depend on the app settings block to update the for example, settings, we can actually create a callback with value changed. For example, string, I don't know, theme changed. Then use this callback here. Theme changed. Oops. And just like do the actual stuff. So your you know, downward components are not dependent on actual dependencies. This is also very good because it will be you will be able to migrate the code base without rewriting all the code base to another solution, if, for example, if there is a need. Something like that. Do we have any? In our project, we use a getIt, and this shit expands the size of the project in Flutter Web. Do you have any approach to reduce a size of Flutter project? Uh, I'm not sure that the get it may somehow expand the size of your project. It's but yeah, I don't think that there is a problem in the get it actually. You should consult the DevTools first of all, and maybe there are like some assets, bundle assets. I don't know, but as far as it's web, you should actually check what is going on in the DevTools. What about factories that create depths? Can we do somewhere inside widgets, maybe inside any state, do just, for example, and get that block? I mean, yeah, for sure. This is the main point. You can create a factory here. I don't know, wait, composition root. You can create a factory, for example, like some class factory. And simply, yeah, this is described. And as for the block, it may accept the for example repository, or it may not. It may create it. For example, here it depends on your use case. For example, here you can create the repository, like repository, then the actual block, something like that, then simply return the block. And you can use this factory from your application. For example, here you can do something like this, some class, some class factory create. And what is really beautiful is that you can specify the dependencies as well using the dependency injection, and pass the dependencies directly in this factory, and it will use them to create it. Then this is needed when you when your dependency, when you need to have an access over the dependency lifecycle. So for example, in this pose, we can schedule something like close, yeah, some class close, or like this pose. Yeah, never mind. In order to not to load the container with large nums of dependencies, they can be divided into logical containers. For example, you can also create a repositories container, etc. Yeah, it really it works like you want. This is the real like beautiness of this approach, is that you're actually flexible. You can do anything you want. You can create other containers, you can create them lazily, you can have the access over the lifecycle, which is on contrary to the actual get it or the service locator approach. With the get it or service locator, you are working only with their provided class. You cannot create new instances, or I don't know, maybe you can create, but that's not the point. And it's simply really flexible approach. And as you can see, you can create dependencies like directly, then dispose them or like somehow manage them based on the widget lifecycle. Get it expands a project because Flutter web main.js contains all created dependencies. Yeah, that's true, but the dependency itself is just a simple class for a few lines of code, and also in RAM it doesn't take like huge amounts, you know. So you should not actually, Sarbador, you should not like think of dependencies is like something really heavy. For example, if you have like a simple repository that simply loads, for example, let me show like this repository, you know, it simply forwards the methods to some other data source. Yeah, we can also add some caching, never mind, but all that stuff like takes really little place in the RAM. It may be like it's just like jokes for modern computers. So we do not actually need to think of dependencies as something that like if not used on every screen must be disposed. If it like actually uses large amounts of data, like thousands of objects, then or like hundreds, you know, and may become a real bottleneck or memory leak, then of course you need to manage the lifecycle of the dependency. Yeah, but in most cases you actually, if you need like shared access, you can put them here, and if you do not want to, do not need the shared access, you could simply use them as I showed in the home screen. Something like this. What is more I can show you here? Let me show you quickly the composition root and how it works. Basically, I have the root dependencies factory that takes some dependencies here, like they're initialized before the composition root starts working. That's their logger, the error reporter, which is the sentry, and the config. So this factory simply creates the dependencies container, and this is used in the composition root and in the compose method. Basically, it simply creates it. That's it. And the compose is called from the application root. Here I have the app runner, but it has the method startup, and the startup is like the main method and the main function. Something like that. At this moment, I will switch back to the presentation. In case you have any other questions, feel free to ask, but in the following few minutes, we will finish the presentation. Or maybe to make this a bit more interesting for you, I should still show the VS Code until we're waiting for something. Yeah, just watch this amazingly beautiful code, you know. We have really big project. I think I think you should I'm not really familiar with DevTools in the Chrome, like in web, but you should really check somehow check what actually takes the place. I think it's not the dependencies, I believe. Or are you talking about the RAM or like the whole weight of the main.js? Because I think, yeah, because with the approach I just showed you, everything will be like the same, because dependencies are still created in the application startup, and the dependencies container lives as well. You may try to use the like deferred initialization or deferred loading for web. This is what I know, to make the main.js smaller. But I believe the core issue is not in the get it, something like this. Also, can I ask about thing that a little bit out of our theme? I'm seeing that in your Sizzle starter inside app settings block state you're putting a data class. So is it good though? Because the state model, I would call it inside every state. Yeah. And another question, which is a bit more easier to answer. If I decide to go with service locator, how do I deal with the problem of scoping? Yeah, the problem is that you do not have a scope, I think, in service locators. Of course, those wrappers around this map may provide you some like amenities, but yeah, this is another problem. You do not have the scope. Yeah, it's like global map where everything is initialized. And you do not have a scope. You don't have any like stuff to hide the dependencies. You basically have access from every dependency to every dependency. Like you can access and even like very popular guys I saw on Twitter and LinkedIn, etc., they like have some sort of navigation service that is basically a thing that contains a link to the global key, and use that global key to actually navigate from the logic, from the block, from like from models. Never mind that. In the real project, in the big project, in the production project, where you work not alone but with a lot of people, with juniors, with trainees, this will give you so many headache you can't even imagine. Because yeah, if you're working alone and you're experienced, first of all, you won't take, of course, you won't take the service locator, but big sorry for those who use it, but you know, mm, uh, if you know about the problems of service locator, you won't use it. But anyway, if you decided to use the service locator, if you go with the service locator, if you like the service locator, okay, I won't judge you. Of course I would, but like silently. And you can yeah, I missed the point I was talking about. Yeah. Yeah, I really missed the point. Never mind, guys. I forgot. So about the question that Salvador asked, yeah, it's a little bit off, but I will answer anyway. So generally, you in your state you can have anything you want, and the reason is it is shared among every other sealed every other state class is that yeah, basically is that it is actually very convenient. Of course, you can add it only to, I don't know, to the idle, or yeah, to the idle, I think, but it doesn't make sense. It's just very convenient. And about using the data class here, it's also yeah, it's also a good idea. Why not? Because it's like a whole unit. They're grouped together in app settings class. Yeah, and you can use it you can use other data classes here. It doesn't matter what basically this is your state, and this is what it contains. So I need to implement stuff like lazy singleton or lifecycle of dependency only in complex apps. I see, yeah. Usually this is how it works, but there may be a case, but in my practice I worked like in I believe in 15 projects or like 13. There were it's like a rare need for you to have something like lazy singleton. And actually the problem of lazy singleton is that there is nothing like lazy. In order to manage the lazy singleton, the getIt will create the object that manages that lazy singleton for you. Basically, instead of having that singleton initialized, you will have another singleton that will be living among when your application is working. Basically, there is no memory saves or other wins. You are just simply storing another object. Okay. Okay. That's it. Again, for the dependencies container, if you need the real lazy stuff, you can do it here. I don't know, like for example, yeah, I just a few days ago I saw a discussion in our chat in Telegram, and actually the database, for example, the database from Drift or like SQL connection to the database, never mind what it is, may be initialized lazily as well. For example, if the database is used only on some of your screens, or like on one screen, and for some reason you decided to do that. I don't know if it's like justified decision. Okay, you can do something like this, and in your home screen, for example, let me show you. Not exactly the home screen, but what where you actually want to put it. You can do something like this. Dependencies container. Okay. The home screen. Here you can actually create the dependency. For example, like initialize db, I don't know, like dependencies scope, app settings, apps database, like initialize database, you know, and you can have the link here. It really like depends on your imagination, how you want to do it, how you want to see it, how you want to actually use it. But to be fair, I didn't have a case where I really needed some sort of a stuff. And still, the application worked, even with some of the singletons in the dependencies container. The application works really fast enough. You know, like the main problems, the main bottlenecks, the main performance bottlenecks may be not in this dependencies container or in or getIt. They're usually in some of your heavy logic you're doing, and or like memory leaks. But if you are having something that has that has to how to say that, if you have something that stores large amount of data or may potentially result in the memory leak, for example some listeners or like re-registers listeners after some effect, then there may be problems. Then you might need the actual control over the life cycle for this dependency. So it really like depends on on the use case. But generally, it's really safe to put your dependencies here if you have such need. If you don't have such need, just create them locally in your widgets. I think that's it. We don't have any questions more. Probably we are going to finish. So yeah, I don't have. Unfortunately, I don't have like a slide like thank you everybody for watching. Let me create it really fast. Yeah, I created it. Okay. Yeah, you can see it. Great. So thanks everybody for watching this stream. I hope it was not so awkward and was quite interesting for you. Yeah, I'm planning to continue this like voluntary activity and become better in it in the future. So I hope you like this. So, and I hope I actually help somebody with this stream. So thank you everybody, and that concludes our today's talk. Yeah, see you on the next one. Yeah, that's it. Bye bye.